Prodigy Season 1B has almost come and gone, giving us an excellent season of Trek for all ages. But before it ends, with a massive Federation fleet on the heels of a Protostar, alien spies hidden in plain sight, and Janeway in the brig, this is shaping up to be an explosive 2-part season finale. This is the penultimate episode just releasing. Now what do we think of Supernova Part 1? Spoiler warning, you have been warned. I'm wearing a Christmas jumper. It's all hell loose here. Welcome to Trek Central, I'm your host Captain Jack, and let's get straight into the video. Before we do that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with the latest Star Trek news here on the channel. No, seriously, come and do it. We need more of you, basically. Well, we don't, but it'd be nice to have more of you. Anyway, if you want to tell us what you thought of Star Trek Prodigy, comment down below. The subscribe button's there as well, and we look forward to chatting with you more in the comments. But don't forget, come join our Discord server as well. I want to chat Prodigy and Picard with more of you over the holiday season. So if you're bored like me, come chat. So interestingly, or weirdly enough, Supernova is a companion title not within Star Trek, but within Star Trek Prodigy itself. With these last 2 episodes being Supernova, a game being called Supernova, and even an upcoming Prodigy book called Supernova. So I wonder how much connection there is and will be between these titles. The episode was written by Aaron McNamara in their first credit for an episode, and they do an excellent job in this episode alongside director Andrew Schmidt. So let's take a look at what happens in the episode overall. As we saw last week, the Protostar is an interesting situation, surrounded by Starfleet ships, unable to communicate with them, and disabled. We do manage to fix the software block from a living construct with hardware, essentially hotwiring a starship, which is interesting, but I guess it's probably similar to Jake and Nog hotwiring a shuttle just with isolinear chips, so it's possible. The fleet scenes in this episode are great, and seeing a Protostar maneuver amongst phasers being fired and such is a beautiful thing to see. Its RCS thrusters firing and doing unorthodox evasive maneuvers. This only delays the inevitable though, as they do eventually get hit and disabled, with a brief appearance of Admiral Jellicoe approving of a boarding party being sent on the ship. Some of the ships which I had noticed at least in the fleet are with the actual USS Defiant itself, the USS Centaur, and the USS Sovereign, but seeing that the Defiant is there, it's pretty cool, and I assume it was on assignment from Deep Space Nine, perhaps on Earth for some reason, and we just see it numerous times in the show. Well, I have to wonder, who's the captain? Will we ever find out? Not only do we get these ship shots with the Akira, Defiant, Centaur, and Sovereign class ships, but later in the episode we even get more ships, being a Ferengi, Gorn, Klingon, and even Tellarite. It's amazing to think Prodigy now has enough assets to have this toy box to play with. If they want to do a Gorn episode in the future, they can too, and we do have a second season of this series by the way. I think the Gorn ship is the only ship that is new in the fleet, to be fair. All the others being from previous episodes, such as the Klingon Bird of Prey, from a Murder Planet, Narni's Decor Marauder, and the Tellarite Sleeper ship, and even O'Connor's vessel. So Prodigy does a good job in early episodes, utilising such ships to build up these scenes really. Though Dahl's cringeworthy attempts at pretending to be Janeway's last episode, where their minds were linked, Janeway has now been put into the brig, but was let out because of a surprise ensign on the Dauntless who turns out to be Brunari. During Voyager's trek through the Delta Quadrant in Star Trek Voyager, they smuggled Brunari telepaths through Devori space, so they could escape through a wormhole, and guess said wormhole went to Federation space. If only Voyager went through it. It's a trick there, Janeway, well done. Now, this unnamed ensign actually looks similar to an unnamed Brunari girl from the episode, with one highly likely being the other, which is really cool when you think about it. I will say this scene did feel extremely convenient for the plot, with no allusion to it previously, but I don't think it needed to be. It was a bit too convenient there and an easy way to get Janeway out of a brig. It could have been done a few other ways, I think. Still, it was nice to have some actions of Voyager and Janeway's choices with trying to be good. For a minute, I did think something was about to go bad there, but it didn't, so yeah. The Protostar was designed to right the wrongs of Voyager's journey, so it shows they're still doing a good thing here, kind of, even though they're now blowing up a fleet, but hey ho. Vau N'akat go on the offensive, finally, with their cover blown, and beam over to a Protostar once its shields have been disabled. Dreadnought easily deals with our kids in non-lethal fashion, which is surprising since it's a kids show, or not surprising should I say. But somewhat surprising considering it's essentially Dreadnought, who is very the ends justify the means, shoot first, ask questions later type of guy. Sensia and Gwyn fight in some nice melee combat using their heirlooms, though I wonder where Sensia hid hers. But personally this fight did not do much to me really, or for me. Probably just how it's shot just didn't have much weight compared to how some of the fights where Gwyn has used her heirloom in Prodigy. What is nice is the Divine actually stands up for Gwyn. She is still his daughter, and he gets killed by a senior for it. This seems to have been the end of a Diviner, and I've loved his character. Going back to the flashbacks, I believe he said he was one of the Vau N'akat who believed Starfleet's words, and was only turned to the bad side after seeing his world destroyed, which he loved, which is understanding. Compared to a Sensia who on the other hand seems to be always on the isolationist side of Solum society, so there you go. The Divine's last words to Gwyn might even give us an idea of what the second season of the show might bring. He believes that Gwyn might be what Solum needs to unify, and that even though Gwyn does not know where Solum is, there is no obstacle she cannot overcome. Gwyn was originally taught by the Divine to keep species divided on Tars Lamora, but in a way, and we see in this episode, she acts as a great unifier for species. With Dahl unable to join Starfleet due to being an augment, and I doubt they'll get rid of that in Prodigy, could we see Captain Gwendala of the Protostar with a civilian attachment of Dahl being sent to find Solum, and actually do first contact in a way that doesn't leave Solum destroyed from civil war? Though maybe our crew will be assigned as cadets while Admiral Janeway is given command of said mission. Could be a great way to keep Janeway without using hologram Janeway the whole time. Though it does mean we might miss the Dauntless. Anyway, returning to the Vau N'akat, Asensio activates the ship's communications and spreads the living construct virus across the fleet, before a dreadnought turns into an escape pod and she flies away through the ceiling. Well, if you can turn into an IKEA table, I'm not surprised you can turn into an escape pod. IKEA are shitting themselves right now. Seeing that Asensio get a scar from Gwyn across eye did seal it in that she would become a recurring villain, and perhaps that would be the interesting villain of the season too. Both Starfleet and Asensio are racing to find Solum, to either influence them to peace or to war. With Starfleet ships destroying each other, which is great to see by the way in a non-depressing way, as they glow red from a virus of the living construct because the Vau N'akat just needed to be extra about it, Gwyn gives an amazing speech about Starfleet, which hopefully further convinces Janeway to sponsor her application into Starfleet. Universal transits are down, just like on Tars Lamora, but Gwyn, who learned language to pit different aliens against one another, now uses those skills to unify them. She asks for aid from the nearby Federation members, and allies to help Starfleet, which is getting shot up at the minute. I have to say, I love the mighty Trig, the Klingon that comes to help them. Perhaps this is the House of Trig, and they're currently doing some business in Federation space. Who knows, they're pretty cool anyway. Now this does seem to work for a time being, but we see the true power of a living construct as Starfleet ships automatically send out SOS signals. And of course, other Starfleet ships come to help, not knowing they'll be infected by the virus. How are our crew going to fix this? At first, the use of allies seems like a way to fix it, but it works for a while, somewhat. But Prodigy gives us that simple solution, and then just makes it fail. So now with one episode left, how are they going to fix all of this, and how will this lead into the show's second season? And where the hell is Chakotay? Honestly, come on now. Alright, before we wrap this up, or warp this up should I say, there are some small details I wanted to touch on. As always, the music by Nami Melmond is exquisite and really complements and enhances the episode in very interesting ways. So she continues to do great work with the score of the series. The animation of this episode was also great. It's a step up from last week, which felt animated some characters a little too oddly, specifically Dahl and Janeway's body, which I can understand as a stylistic choice, but just did not work for me. But all the character animation in this episode worked extremely well, even a weird playful fight of Murph versus Dreadnought, which I didn't expect to see, but here we are. Now, one little piece of ship animation which I absolutely loved as a ship nerd, apart from the RCS thrusters firing on a Protostar, was the torpedo module of the Akira-class starship. The catamaran-style torpedo pod connects to the nacelles of the Akira and is shown in a mechanism which it can fire torpedoes at a fast rate, and it works on a cycling ring, which loads then fires torpedoes in quick succession. This is a cool little detail they did not need to include, but I'm glad they did. Whoever's on the animation team, mwah, chef's kiss. Overall, this was a fantastic episode for the penultimate episode of Star Trek Prodigy, which does what any great penultimate episode should do. Have good stakes, seemingly solve the issue, but then show that it's even worse, making you wait for the final to see how they're going to solve this. You get your highs from solving the first issue, but then it comes to crashing down as you say it can't get any worse, can it? We get some great character moments in this episode, most of them Gwyn as she takes the place as the new captain of the USS Protostar, Captain Gwendala, and she uses her skills to help the situation. Now, it is sad to see the Diviner go. Get me my ship. We can't say those quotes anymore. By Progeny. He was a very interesting character, and his path did seem to go towards this sacrifice to my daughter sort of trope in these types of shows, especially after letting Janeway free in the last episode. But to actually see him die in a disintegrating mist after getting his daughter and giving her some advice was interesting. John Noble did good, and he will be missed, though the Diviner still exists on Solum, so we could see him again in his new unincorporated evil form, which was kind of stylish. Also, why was it a Thanos-style death? Just saying. The relationship between Gwyn and Dahl we kind of have to touch on. I don't care for either way personally, but if it happens, it'll be fine with me. We'll have to see where the story goes with that, and yeah. Anyway, Prodigy Season 1B has some exquisite Trek story and work we have seen, and I cannot wait to see how it will wrap up next week in Star Trek Prodigy Supernova Part 2. Okay, this is our outro. What do you think of the latest episode of Star Trek Prodigy? Let us know what you think in the comment section below, as it's a very interesting show, and I'm still wearing a Star Trek Christmas jumper. I need a Prodigy one for next year, don't I? If you want to keep up to date on the latest Star Trek news, lore, and more, make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media or join our community Discord server. But for now, I've been Captain Jack. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next week for Prodigy's final episode. But have a happy Christmas and happy holidays in the meantime. Good luck, everyone. Live long and prosper.